That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Elemental, the second film directed by Peter Sohn, which premiered at the 2023 Cannes Film Festival. Technically, it is being released courtesy of Disney on June 16th, 2023.
What is Peter's first film?
The Good Dinosaur.
Oh.
Which I didn't really care for The Good Dinosaur. Did you see that?
No.
You might know Mr. Sohn better as the voice of Socks from Lightyear.
Okay. You really liked this movie.
I did. Yeah. It was enjoyable and very emotional and poignant. And although, I am resentful of when I am stuck in a screening with a bunch of mothers and their children, and I'm like a lone gay man sitting in the corner trying not to sob.
This is a Pixar movie?
Yes.
The story seems pretty simple, so... Oh, go ahead.
It is, but it's also... to its detriment, I think, maybe a little fussy as well.
The world we live in is called, like, the city?
Element City.
Element City. And so there's water, fire, earth, and wind. Mm-hmm. But it's made clear that the fire people are disenfranchised. Like, they're seen as lesser, violent, unpredictable, dangerous. So we can read a lot into that. But the story revolves around a character named Ember, who's fire, and this guy who's water. What's his name?
Wade.
Wade. Oh, Wade in the water. Okay. So Wade and Ember, they become a couple against all odds. The end. That's it, right? Well, so Ember's family, her mom and dad, they start a small business.
Bernie and Cinder.
They start a small business, and of course their intention is to leave their business to her.
The fireplace.
Which causes some issues because she wants to make a path on her own.
But she's not even aware. I think what the smart thing about the film is that Ember is presented as she's not even aware that that is available to her, and so her behavior is causing a problem because she's having she can't control her temper, and that's why her father's like, you're not ready to own the shop yet. And it's not until she has an interaction with Wade's family, his mother Brook,
that she sees her potential,
that she realizes, she has the epiphany that I don't want to run the shop.
And so in the end her father decides to sell his business to someone else so that Ember can go on with Wade. And then Wade was raised to think that he couldn't be with someone who's fire. Because obviously, like, fire and water don't work well together. Like, they'll destroy each other. He'll turn into a puff of smoke and she'll be extinguished. But through their relationship, because their connection, you can get into how they meet, but their connection revolves around the logistics of the father's store, because Wade is like an inspector. And Amber's trying to get her dad's store back up to code. So that's how they sort of build a relationship. But through that, Wade realizes that he can be with her and they can make it work. So maybe you said you cried several times?
I did.
What are some things that made you cry?
Okay, so, well, one very funny bit, and this is probably the point where I'm like, maybe I'm falling in love with this movie. When she goes to visit Catherine O'Hara, his mother Brook, and Wade's family, and they play this game called the Crying Game.
Oh.
And the joke being the water people seem to be overly emotional and cry a lot because they have a lot of excess water, of course. So the game is that they will tell each other sad stories in an effort not to cry. So, but the funny bit of this part is, like, they can barely choke out any words before any of them start sobbing. But Ember is like, who's voiced by Leah Lewis, by the way, and Wade is voiced by Mamoudou Athie, who you've seen in many things. She's like, I've never cried in my life, so go ahead, good luck. So he tries a couple things that don't work, and then he ends up telling her the moment where he's basically expressing his feelings of love for her and what a wondrous kind of being she is, and that leads her to tears. And I'm like, but it's told in a much more poetic and eloquent way than I'm saying that. It's very moving. And then, of course, I'm probably, predisposed to being overly emotional to stories about outsiders, because this is very much a story about immigration and first generation experiences, and also their relationship serves as an allegory for interracial relationships. So all of that, I felt like I was primed to go for the waterworks. But when they come to realize, like, this world they live in has told them that there's no way they could work together, but when they allow themselves to come together, they, as I think Wade puts it, by touching, we change each other's chemistry. So I don't know, there was just a lot of it I really liked. And then I was reading that Peter Sohn was influenced by both his own personal story in films, like where you get these kind of stories like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and Moonstruck, and I think you can really feel it. And I was kind of, I guess, not surprised to learn that there is this isn't the most well-received Pixar film to date, and there are some critiques. I love how, when people don't like what they're seeing, then they start charging it with being overly familiar. But like, we have to remember, these kind of animated films are really geared towards children, and what children are able to pick up, I think, from this kind of story, I think, is very compelling and important in a way that, our terrible education system isn't going to allow them to explore in the classroom. But anyway, I was really moved by the film overall.
Okay. What else you want to say?
And of course, it's preceded by a short film called Carl's Date, which gives us Ed Asner as the man from Up, in a short film about him trying to go on a date and being helped by his talking dog, Doug. I'd rather just rewatch Up. Oh. I guess that's how I felt with that. Anyway, but Elemental, and as far as the animation goes, these creatures are all our characters are all anthropomorphized, right? And earth, winds, fire, and water. And I think there's a lot of playfulness with that, and I think it looks really good. There's a cumulonimbus cloud named Gale, voiced by Wendi McLendon-Covey, that is Wade's boss, who has an integral moment, who I thought she was kind of a little bright spot as well. I really like Ember's parents, voiced by Ronnie Del Carmen and Shila Ommi. The mother, Cinder, her little hustle that she has on the side is she's kind of a psychic. She offers a service that can tell whether people are in love by them touching a stick and reading the smoke that comes out of their... If the smoke intertwines, then they're destined to be together. But she tries to run, and she can smell when people are in love, so she can smell when Ember is giving off a certain scent, and she follows her around the city, which I thought was a pretty good moment as well. But she puts the love test to both of those, and she's like, there's no way you can work out because Wade, he can't light this stick on fire. But he figures out a way by using Ember's light to show through the water to light the stick on fire, and of course their smoke intertwines. I don't know, I thought it was very lovely and touching.
In Element City, the fire people are relegated to a certain area because they need to be protected from water, so I'm assuming it's not as nice as the other parts of the city. And then the way Wade and Ember meet.
Oh yeah, that's important. And I think that's where, like, the world building maybe is just, there's a lot that they have to touch on. Some of it's really cute and some of it feels like, I think I need a little more finessing on some of the details there. But she has a temper tantrum when she's supposed to run the shop on her own as a test because she can't deal with customers, which is also an element of this film that I really overly related to. But she basically runs down to the basement to explode because she can't control herself, and all the pipes burst, and the water was supposed to have been shut off from Fire City decades prior, right? So the fact that there's any water coming through at all is alarming. But her shop's about to be flooded, and in through one of the cracks in the burst pipes floats in Wade, who had been nearby inspecting, because it's well known that there's a leak that his department needs to find. And he, very remorsefully, as he sobs, has to write her a bunch of tickets, and that is what starts off the dramatic catalyst of the story. And then of course it ends with they find the leak, and Gale, the cumulonimbus cloud allows them to keep the shop open, but that is what they do to fix the leak is broken, and the denouement of the story is Wade and Ember are stuck together in an alcove. The shop is flooding, and she has to save the blue light that her father has carried with her from the old country, and because they're stuck together for so long, it seems that Wade evaporates. But of course, that ends up not being the case. But it's dramatic and touching, and I think it's a film that is effective, especially if you're probably more romantically inclined. I can't recall seeing a Pixar film that was kind of so kind of stuck on the emotional component of its two main characters as this one.
What would you give it?
I'd give it 4.
4 out of 5. Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.